very useful to do 8th grade. All right, so I'm going to look at all the data from, we're all going to look at all your data for the 7th grade as a whole last year when you were 6th graders. And we're going to see what we find out, okay? I'm going to come back every 4 to 6 weeks and we're going to see how you all are doing compared to the goals that we're going to talk about in just a minute. So a little background data. Last year as a group, you all had 678 referrals. There were 121 kids in the 6th grade last year. So that equals out to about 5.7 referrals per student, which puts you right on the brink of something called the red zone, which I'll explain in just a minute. 230 of those 678 were majors, which is a little under 2 per student. Here's the crazy number. 403 of those referrals went to 10 kids. The other 275 went to the other 111 of you. So what that tells me is 111 students in your class are doing a really good job. 10 aren't. Does that make sense? 111 of you are averaging 2.5 referrals per student. 10 of you are averaging over 40 per student. And we're not going to point out the kids who are the top 10 or anything like that. That's not the point. The point is just to go over the data, not to make anyone feel bad. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about any of that?
You guys can ask questions.
Yeah, feel free to ask questions. All right. So, do you need me to go back?
It's just.
That's really good information to have.
Mm-hmm. That means this is a good group of kids. We have a couple kids that are making it difficult for the rest of them, huh? You good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so what you're looking at here is called the behavior triangle or pyramid. And this would be like an ideal school right here. And so what this means is 80% of the students in the school are in what's known as the green zone. If you're a green zone student, you either have 0 or 1 referral for the entire school year. 80% of our student bodies, so 8 out of every 10 kids in an ideal school.
Does that include tardy referrals?
That does. That's every kind of referral you can get, majors, minors, anything. When you get a referral, we put it into a system called Swiss, and it starts tracking all that. And I can go on Swiss any day of the week and look at behavior in the school or in certain grades, and I can see how we're, like where we're at on our triangle. Right now our triangle looks amazing because we're only 10 days into school, and most kids don't get a lot of referrals at first. We'll see how we're doing in about a month. But 80% should be green in an ideal school. The second tier here is called the yellow zone because it's yellow. And this is supposed to be about 15% of the student body in the school. And to be a yellow zone student, you have 2 to 5 referrals throughout the course of the school year. And then the very top that's red is the red zone. And that's for anybody that has more than 5 referrals. Is red zone, and that should be about 5% of our student body. Does that make sense? Yeah.
What percent does red have?
5.
5.
Yeah. So it's 80, 15, 5 making up the whole 100%. So, do you think, as 6th graders last year, you were at the 80, 15, 5? No.
Maybe.
Show us our triangle.
I'm about to.
Okay.
I think it's the same, but maybe the yellow is a little bit bigger.
Okay. Anybody have any difference of opinion with that?
A lot of red.
Yeah.
I think the red and the yellow are probably a little higher.
Okay.
A lot of the yellow, but a lot more red than this one.
All right, so here, it's not going to look exactly the same, but here's what yours looks like. 48% of the student body was green zone last year, which is equals 58 students. That's what the number is in front there. So 58 students in the 6th grade class last year had either 0 or 1 referral for the entire school year. 28% or 33 students had 2 to 5 referrals. And 24%, which equals 29 kids, were in the red zone. So as you can see from this, now I'll tell you, I've never seen a school that's 80-15-5. I know they exist, but I've never seen one. We definitely want to go from here closer to this. That's all we're asking. I don't expect you all to be 80-15-5. If you did, that would be awesome. I don't think any of your teachers would have a problem with that. But
I'd bring food.
yeah, I'd bring food also. We want to see an improvement on that 48% grade because we know you can. Okay? Anybody have any questions about that? When I explain things like that, it makes sense to me, but I don't know if it's making sense to you. So if it doesn't make sense to you, let me know. Yeah?
Does the detention count?
Detention counts, yep.
Detentions are generally minor referrals.
Yep. Any referral you get goes into that system. So if you had 2 minors, that puts you in the yellow zone.
So that could be 2 tardies where you didn't have a pass.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
Does that count for suspensions?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Those are majors.
Yep,
Oh.
that's a major. All right, so here's referrals by student, and each one of these bars represents an individual student in the class. So you can see we're at 1 here, 2, 3. So this is these kids all over here, these are all green zone students. We hit 2 and go to 5, those are all yellow zone. Anybody on this side of 5 is red zone. You can see our number 1 student in the 6th grade last year had 58 referrals by themselves. We had a student last year that had 95 referrals by themselves last year.
Grade.
You have to work extremely hard to get 95 referrals in the course of the school year.
It's like a referral every day.
It's a referral, it's more than a referral every other day. Yeah.
How did they get expelled if they got more red?
Expulsion's pretty rare. You have to do something really dangerous to get expelled. It's not a quantity. It's not like if you hit a certain number, we'd say you're expelled. You have to do something that puts people in harm's way, and then we'll, like really seriously put people in harm's way.
Which means you could have 1 incident and be expelled.
Yeah.
Depending on the severity.
You could have you could have no referrals, and if you did something that crossed that line, and that would be like bringing a weapon to school. Something like that can get you expelled, first offense. And hopefully that doesn't happen to anyone.
Has that ever happened?
Yes, it's happened.
It has?
Well, not like, we have to define weapon, so never a firearm of any sort. But we've had knives brought to school. And a lot of times when people bring knives to school, it's a total accident, you know.
They went
You might have
hunting
gone
and forgot
hunting
to
on the
unpack it.
weekend, and then you come to school the next day and you have a knife in your bag or in your pocket, you forgot. That's one thing. If you bring the knife to school and like flip the blade open and put it in somebody's face, that's a totally different thing.
So what if you like brought him like a pocket knife?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Like
Like-
not like actually like put it in anyone's face, but
Kitchen knife.
No.
Kitchen knife would be a little different too.
Butter knife. Well, I had
You have like a
lesson
butter
over there
knife.
once.
You had a cooking lesson over the weekend?
Sorry, I forgot.
So
to
here's
make
here's just a general rule for you. If for some reason you realize that you brought a pocket knife to school sometime and you don't want to get in trouble, give it to a teacher or bring it to the office. And we're not going to get you in trouble for it. We're just going to take it so there's no possibility of you getting in trouble with it, if that makes sense.
So what if you just brought it home and then put it away?
Then that's fine. I mean, if
We'd rather you turn it in while you're at school though, because if some kid sees it sticking out, you get reported for having a weapon, you get expelled. You're better off to turn it into me, another teacher, or the office and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this was in my pocket. I want to turn it in so I don't get in trouble.
So then, never get it back?
No, you can get it back. Your parents can
your
come
parents
pick it
have
up.
to come get it.
Oh.
But I do have a pretty impressive collection of pocket knives in my office that parents never came and picked up. So.
Probably because they don't want to drive all the way there for a
Yeah.
pocket knife that costs
Or I've
$5.
had a lot of parents go, well, if they're dumb enough to bring it to school, it's yours now. So, all right, what we're looking at on this graph right here is each grade.
Well, if there's-
So we have 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And this is total number of referrals last year. And so this is your group right here. And this graph right here is okay, so there's no other 3rd through 8th schools that I know of anywhere. But if I looked at, we are very special. If I looked at 3rd through 5th data and then 6th through 8th data of any group of kids, it would look almost exactly identical to this. Because you usually have this spike happen right around 7th grade, which is where you're at right now, right? And hopefully this does not happen with your grade this year. But usually it climbs and it climbs and it climbs until you're 7th grader, and that's like the peak. And then it goes down 8th grade year.
Because
Yeah, why would that be?
What's the highest it's ever been for the 7th graders?
The highest it's ever been? I have no idea. I would guess last year's class gave it a run for its money. This year's 8th graders. But I don't know what the high is. It
The
was
opening
probably-
class.
The opening class, that's what I was going to say. It was probably the first class to come through here. Because I've heard legends of them.
Oh,
not a legend.
Yeah.
I think the reason that 8th grade's lower is because they've had to teach Miss Hobson and Miss Brunson and know better by now.
Very true. What would explain why it would peak in 7th grade?
Maybe because we just came upstairs.
Just came upstairs.
Yeah, probably.
That's a
I
good,
know one.
I don't know. I
Caleb?
haven't thought this idea.
Because
Oh,
they're
that's
teenagers?
because you're teenagers. Excellent point.
Well, 7th grade, you're like new to upstairs. You think you can, that there's all these privileges, and that turns out not. And then in 8th grade, you're like, okay, I get it now, and I maybe want to go a decent reputation in high school.
Yeah, and a lot of kids realize right at the end of 8th grade year, hey, they like a lot of their teachers, and they want their teachers to remember them in a good way. And
especially
so-
because they come back to us for job recommendations.
Yes. Couple more. Jacob.
You don't want to. There's more strict teachers in 7th grade and in 6th grade.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
that's a good
Maybe
thing.
because of the teenage hormones.
Teenage hormones. I
Well,
would
wait a
give-
minute. I like the way she said it. Hormones.
I think that has a lot to do with it, because right around where you're at right now, you go, maybe I don't want to listen to that adult. Maybe they don't know what they're talking about, and then you get stuff like defiance. One last thing.
Sometimes I think it's impressive to get close to.
Sometimes guys think it's impressive to get referrals.
I think it's an escape clause.
Yeah,
I don't want to sit through my language arts class, therefore I will get a referral and get kicked out.
yeah, and that happens as well. So here's what referrals by time of day look like. So each one of these bars is a 15-minute chunk of time. And you can see 10 a.m. is the highest spike.
That makes sense.
Why does that make sense?
Because then you get usually people like days like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, people get up like really early and they're just really grumpy by that time. And then
referrals start to slow down because people are, they're waking up, they're realizing what they're doing.
Okay. And then we have 2 and 3 also.
I think most of the reason put at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So 10, you usually breakfast at like 7, right? Or 7 or 7:30 or something like that. And then you wait, about like 2.5 hours. And then you're kind of hungry, and so you get a little more grumpy, and plus you're tired. And then at 2 p.m., it's at 2 hours after you've eaten lunch pretty much, and then you're hungry again.
There's definitely something to that.
Yeah. And
When I get angry, or when I get hungry, I get angry. Not the other way around. I don't get angry and then get hungry. I get hungry then I get angry. So, yeah.
It could be because like at 10, people are like that's when their energy is spiking because they had ate before.
Yeah, it could be the other way around.
And then at 2 it could be 2 to 3. It could be because people are releasing school gets out soon, so they're set.
All right, so we're going to look at what's happening at 10 and 2 in just a minute. So I'm going to keep moving just so we can get through this. Apologize. Here's referrals by day of the week. This is also completely normal if you look at the school year. If I put up the entire school population, it would almost look identical to this. Tuesday is the highest day of the week.
Why is there something in Saturday?
Okay, good question. People always ask that. So if I were to write you a referral today, today's the 18th of September, right?
Yes.
If I were to write you a referral today, but I put the 17th on there, then it would show up on a Sunday because we just put it in by calendar days. So it's just an accident. Somebody just wrote the wrong date on there, and it either equals a Sunday or a Saturday. But the Sunday ones were more than likely Mondays, and Saturdays were probably Fridays. So, but Tuesday is the highest day school-wide for behavior.
Maybe on like Sunday and Saturday you have like band meet or something.
It is possible to get written up. Because didn't you say you wrote someone up last year on Saturday?
Yeah, they were jumping up on top of the cafeteria roof, and I wrote them up and made them serve a immediate detention cleaning up, and then I wrote it up and told them it was part of their file. Yeah, people do silly things.
Tuesday, most people would like think of for most referrals, but people say Tuesday isn't that bad, but Tuesday, most people are thinking about how bad Monday was, and then it just gets worse.
I had somebody in last period say, Monday we're really excited to see our friends, and on Tuesday we're tired of our friends.
That's true.
Okay. Here's referrals by gender. Boys, we can do better than this. Boys made up 80% of all the referrals, and there are not more boys in this class than girls by that margin. So, boys, this is definitely something we can improve on. Now, I'll tell your group the same thing I told the last group. It's not that the girls only did 141 things that were worth getting in trouble. The girls, in a lot of cases, were probably just better at doing it when nobody was looking.
Yes, of course, because that's most.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well,
Boys,
and then there's
you're
also the thing.
a little more blatant about it. You like, if a boy's gonna be defiant to me, he's gonna do it in front of all his peers, so everybody can see.
Whereas girls have that quiet defiance of, I'm going to read the book in my lap and just not say anything.
Yeah. So it's just a difference of how we do things, but I know we can do better than this, boys. So that's going to definitely be a thing to work on.
I
Yeah.
feel
Not
like
all the
boys,
boys
like some boys,
I don't think.
think it's cool to talk back to teachers in front of their class. And girls, they're just really sneaky. Like 1 minute
Some.
they're there and 1 minute they're not.
That doesn't work for everyone. That's a pretty broad generalization, but some, I could say,
Some
yes.
girls.
And some boys, that's like showing off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Show off to the class. Show everyone how bad you are.
Girls are spies.
Could be.
So here's referrals by problem behavior. The number one thing that we saw had a problem with you all as 6th graders, and if you see, this is hard to see from far away, I'm sure, but if you see an M in front of the word, that means it's a minor. So we had a minor for defiance is the number one. So teacher asks you to get out your schoolwork and you say no. Somebody asks you to stop doing something out at recess, you just keep doing it. That kind of stuff. The second one is a minor for disruption, so banging your books, tapping your pencil, doing stuff to get people off task. Yeah.
Somebody's done drugs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Drugs also covers alcohol or tobacco. It's not just, I mean, when you look at that, you're not thinking, oh, somebody brought meth to school. It could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be bad.
And then the third thing is a major for defiance, and then a minor for tardies. Yes.
That's a defiant group right there.
Are you allowed to protest? Like what?
I don't know.
So kids always think, that's a good question, because kids always think they have freedom of speech. You don't have freedom of speech like you do outside the walls of the school. That doesn't apply here.
Well, actually, you're not a citizen until you turn 18, which means you have no rights till you're 18. Your parents have rights. Your teachers have rights. You have no rights till you're 18, except for a right to a free education.
So you could protest something, but you could also get in a lot of trouble.
From a free education, can we choose?
Can we come back here when we're
Free education?
No. Well, you could make that choice, but it's going to get you and family in a lot of trouble if you don't. If you're not going to school, your family can get cited to court for.
Because your parents have a responsibility to ensure you get your free education.
Because education is really important.
Yep.
I don't get why they don't do it on other majors.
Okay, paying attention, guys.
So boys, here's what your referrals by time looks like, and you'll notice it's almost identical to the overall grades because the vast majority of the referrals were for boys last year. So we have 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 3 p.m. And we'll look at what's happening at 2 p.m. because that's the highest. Girls, this is what yours looks like, 10 a.m. once again.
PE.
We have a spike at 9, those are tardies. Boys at 2 p.m., what we're seeing at 2 was defiance last year.
And that was the start of PM block for
That was
them,
the start of
correct?
PM block. So PM block starts and you're kind of like, I don't want to do this right now. Right? Does that make sense? I see a lot of people shaking their head, yes?
What's the last one?
The last one is inappropriate language.
Okay, I couldn't really.
Just if you're wondering, PAGG is personal aggression, so getting close to like a fight. Girls at 10 a.m., it's tardies.
Now, Kira, say what you said.
So when you're in PE and stuff, people have to travel, and some people are late because they either their class was messing around or that they just didn't care.
Yeah. That's very true. And then, but if you look at the scale on this, we're only talking about 7. That's the spike on girls. There were 7 tardies given at that time. The spike for boys is 18.
Only 7?
Only 7. That's pretty. It's not bad.
7 people.
We would be extremely happy, would we not, Miss Brunson, if at the end of the year we were there.
If at the end of the year that was all the referrals, food.
Yeah. Lots of food. Lots of free time. Yeah.
I make awesome cheese dip too.
Oh,
What did I just do?
she really does.
Could we bring food?
Exited the presentation.
Miss Spencer, could we
Now,
bring
because
food?
you're not very
If you guys get those kinds of numbers where it's really low and people aren't getting in trouble, Mr. Heisley and I last year bought a ton of food for the kids and let them bring in their own food as well.
Can you bring food?
And gave us some free time.
Okay.
I told the 8th graders, we're like, what would you do if we had no, I don't know, was it no referrals?
No tardies
No tardies. What was the time frame?
for the first, I think they said the first one. I'm like, yeah, it needs to be 0 for that. But if you're talking first 9 weeks, then that's a much bigger prize.
Yeah, I think it was the first 9 weeks. I told them I'd bring pizza for everyone. But, well, if they do that, my wife's going to be really mad at me because that's going to cost a lot.
Just go to the dollar store.
Dollar store for pizza? We're going to get a bunch of Totino's pizza rolls?
Well,
All right, guys.
technically that is pizza.
All right, guys, you're at 25 minutes for this presentation. You want to finish it up?
Yep. All right, so boys, this graph just shows your majors to minors. What we typically want to see is far less majors compared to minors, and these are relatively close. You can see from the girls, theirs is much further away. So the ladies had, I don't know, about 105 minors and less than 40 majors. Boys had almost 200 majors and about 340-ish minors.
So
typically we see 3 minors to every major.
So when they decided to act up, they did it big.
Yeah, they went big when they did it. We're going to skip those. So what to work on? If you ever have any ideas on what to work on, I'm happy to hear them. You don't have to tell me right now. You can tell Ms. Brunson or you can tell me in the hallway or something. But here's a few things that I saw that I thought we needed to work on. Boys versus girls referrals, right? Girls at 10 a.m., which means like tardies in between first and second period. You all should not have tardies
First period anymore.
at this point because you have your tardy passes, and hopefully you haven't used a bunch of them. We'll see.
This is 7th grade. 7th graders, hold up your fingers to show how many passes you've used so far this. Oh, I should see at least a couple of you, like 5 or 6, or is that next period where I have all those?
We'll see when we talk to the next period, huh? So if you're on pace to not run out, you should be somewhere in the 1 to 2 range right now.
Yep.
Or 0 is great.
You guys know you get 10 timber tickets for every unused pass, right?
100 timber tickets
Okay,
every
100
9 weeks if you don't use them.
Wait, how many timber
Pizza
do you
party.
get? If you don't
Last
use
year we only
it,
got 2 for every.
So upstairs, we give you 10 for every unused pass because we know you're traveling more. And what we told the kids and the way that we worked it out with the office is if you got no other timber tickets all year long, but you had no tardies, then each semester you could earn a pizza party because it's 200 tickets for a pizza party.
Yeah.
Wait, so if you get no tardies at all for a semester?
Then you get 100 timber tickets, and Mrs. Hobson and I both generally give you 10 bonus tickets because of the fact that you were able to keep it perfect.
Wait, so how do you do it at a pizza party?
Turn in 200 timber tickets to the office, but we could talk about that more later.
That's 100 each quarter.
Okay.
What if we already have
Yeah.
170?
All right, and then we need to work on the defiance bit as well that we saw, especially around 2 o'clock. That make sense? Do you have any questions about that? Okay, I will be back in a month-ish, probably sometime around the end of October, and we'll see how everything's going. Okay?